All right, howdy, hey, here we go. Concept 2, discuss the primary reasons for the Emancipation Proclamation and show how its use and timing helped overcome the problems the country faced in 1862. There were three basic problems that faced Lincoln in the country in 1862. Even with with its great manpower, manufacturing, and transportation advantages, the North in mid-1862 was losing the war. And as the war dragged on longer than expected, this had a great demoralizing effect on the North and the willingness of Northerners to support it. So the war, they're losing the war. It's almost a full 2 years into it, and it's taking way longer than anyone ever thought it would. The second problem was the desire of both England and France to see political power of the United States weaken. This along with their need for southern cotton, created the possibility of both countries entering the war on the side of the South. For example, with Great Britain, whose cotton manufacturing was its largest industry, employed 900,000 workers and received 80% of its cotton from the South. 4 million people, a fifth of the population of the British Isles, directly or indirectly depended on the industry. The South felt that if Europe did not recognize the Confederacy, a sudden termination of cotton exports would compel intervention. Finally, Lincoln's unwillingness to make the abolition of slavery the key issue of the war caused some of his own party members to attack him, and thus his own party was splitting behind him. Thus, the Emancipation Proclamation was an attempt by Lincoln to keep Europe out of the war, unite his party and the country, and gain the support of the abolitionists and the radical Republicans. For the proclamation to be successful, timing was an important factor. According to fairly reliable sources, Lincoln was persuaded by Secretary of State Seward to withhold the proclamation so that it could be issued on the face of a victory. Otherwise, if it came out sooner, it might appear to be on a clumsy attempt to draw public attention away from the military blunders and defeats that the Union was experiencing. Lincoln thus laid aside the proclamation for 2 months and waited for a victory before making the proclamation public. The day finally came on October 2nd, 1862, 5 days after Robert E. Lee's defeat at the Battle of Antietam. Lincoln's issued his preliminary proclamation. The preliminary proclamation provided that slavery would end on January 1st, 1863, when Lincoln announced his final proclamation. The political results of Lincoln's actions was to deliver a 1-2 combination punch that became a psychological turning point of the war. First was the success at Antietam, coupled with Lincoln's clear indication that the conflict was no longer merely a campaign for restoration of the Union, but also a crusade for the eradication of slavery. The war was lifted to a new emotional level and became a war of morality and freedom. Thus, the problem of a demoralization was solved. Second, both England and France had long been critical of the practice of slavery in the United States before the Civil War. Although a Southern victory would have continued the institution, it would have also split a potential great power in the Western Hemisphere and made it easier for both countries to exercise their influence in the region. Taking into consideration the amount of cotton the South supplied England, it was only logical that she was rooting for the South. England, that is. With the early military victories of the South during the first 2 years of the war, England and France were ready to support the Confederacy, both militarily and financially. However, the combination of the victory at Antietam and Lincoln's announcement that the North was fighting the war to end slavery made it almost politically impossible for either country to enter the war on the side of the South. 1 month earlier to the day, on August 22nd, 1862, in response to Horace Greeley's editorial, A Prayer of 20 Millions, which urged emancipation, Lincoln replied, "My paramount object is to save the Union, and it is not either to save or to destroy slavery." Although Lincoln had already written the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, the need for timing led him to take such a statement to the press. Finally, since Lincoln supported the abolitionist cause, there was little the radical Republicans could do to support him. After all, he was doing as they wished. Lincoln's calculations proved correct even with the cotton famine in Europe. The assurance of the proclamation and the increased evidence of federal military success kept England and France and any other power from recognizing the Confederacy. Also, all other border states remained loyal to the Union. The document thus stands as a monument to Lincoln's sense of timing, his skill in maneuvering, and his ability to compromise.